Good morning, New Zealand. We are back, and we're going to talk about Easter today. There's more attempts to liberalise Easter trading laws. The New Zealand Herald has come out and said that electric vehicles aren't that environmentally friendly. Can you believe it? And a whole lot of other topics, including Snow White tanking at the box office. Good morning. Good morning to you. It is the 11th of April. Yes, I had what has it been, 2 weeks that I've sort of been hidden from the screens, and a big ups to Simon O'Connor, who has really come off the bench, the super sub off the bench, impact striker, and has covered a whole lot of shows for me. As you can see, still just recovering. Had a fight with a contact lens, my finger, the contact lens in the eye, and ended up with a nasty infection in a couple of days in hospital last week. So big shout out to Green Lane Eye Clinic and the fantastic staff there. And I'm still a bit one-eyed, but you already know that. Anyway, let's get into the stories. Lots of stories. Firstly, attempts once again by Parliament to liberalise the Easter laws. This one is called the Easter Anzac Christmas Booze Bill, and it was introduced by Labour MP Kieran McNulty against the wishes of his caucus. And you'll note there down the bottom, it was actually submitted in 2021. It's only just been drawn from the private members ballot. But look at the purpose of the bill. The bill will remove restrictions on the sale of alcohol on Anzac Day, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and Christmas Day. So this is what I call incremental creep. Not Kieran McNulty, but the purpose of the bill. And it's kind of like, okay, let's just deal with touristy towns, and then let's deal with the alcohol being served on these days, and then we'll deal with trading, and eventually it'll be a free-for-all. So it's just constantly chipping away at this. Now, it actually did get through first reading, and so it's off to submissions, so we'll be encouraging people to make public submissions. In terms of the vote, all of the ACT MPs voted for it, obviously. All of the Green MPs, New Zealand First and Te Pāti Māori actually got it right on this one and voted against it, except for one Te Pāti Māori MP. In terms of Labour and National, they were kind of split down the middle, although the majority of Labour and National voted for it. So it's off to Select Committee, and as I said, it's focused purely on the ability to drink alcohol on these days. Now, you can already drink alcohol where the restaurant has a license. It's just that you have to have it with food. And look, is that too much to ask? And so we will see all the same arguments about tourists won't cope, and we'll hear that apparently we need to give businesses more support. Well, actually, you are giving them support because you're saying, as well as the alcohol, you got to buy food. I think businesses might actually appreciate that. But anyway, that's going before a select committee. Statistics New Zealand put out some information just yesterday that I found interesting, and it showed that the increase in the proportion of dads who are sole parenting. Let me just enlarge that for you. It said basically there has been a growth in sole parents, and that's a problem. But interestingly, so that mustard colour down the bottom is where the dads are the sole parent, and the blue is mum's the sole parent. And as you can see, as a child gets older, dad is starting to step in. So, just 8 or 9% of parents were male when the child is a baby. But by the time the child is a teenager, dads step up to the mark. And it's up to 23%, I think it said it was. So about a quarter of sole parent homes are dads. Look, it's not the ideal, but it's interesting that dads are stepping more into the role. And look, we're concerned about the fatherlessness, but I think ultimately we're concerned about the breakdown of the marriage in the first place, and the fact that unfortunately children have an equal likelihood now of being born into a two-parent family as a one-parent family. That's the sad statistic that has come out of our census as well. So it's a difficult start. Also, notice this. Now, there's a story in the Post, and it's entitled "The Highest Number of Students Expelled in 5 Years." You can see the graph there, and let me just enlarge it. So this is hot off the press this morning in the Post. The really tall line is for the third category, physical assaults on other students. And it is just towering there, isn't it? It's just going up and up and up. And I have my theories. You've probably heard them. As we took away discipline, as we took away parental authority, as we brought in anti-smacking laws, as we told children about their rights but not their responsibilities, then I'm not surprised at these stats at all. What I did find interesting is that the reporter it says this: the overall figures partly reflect the impacts of COVID-19 as well as extreme weather events like Cyclone Gabriel and Auckland anniversary weekend floods. Well, I call BS on that, because those figures are just going up and up and up. And in fact, I could show you the figures before 2020 and COVID, and that would also show an increase. So we're just seeing a trend. To blame it on floods and COVID is just a complete cop-out. Labour MP, gay activist Shannon Halbert was in Parliament yesterday, desperate to get relationship, sexuality education back into schools. And he was asking Erica Stanford, the Minister of Education, why she wouldn't talk to Inside Out, which I think was actually a great thing that Erica Stanford hasn't talked to Inside Out. But Shannon Halbert said, look, the guidelines were supported by 87% of parents. RSE was supported by 87% of parents, he argued. That is a complete misrepresentation. What the ERO report said was that 87% of parents would like some form of relationship and sexual education, puberty development, relationships, consent in the school. But we all know that parents are hugely concerned at the hedonistic, narcissistic type of material that is going into schools, age inappropriate, and being pushed by Inside Out and gay activists. The best part of the whole question time was when the Speaker of the House, Jerry Brownlee, told Shannon Halbert to sit down. Oh, there's an amazing editorial in the New Zealand Herald this morning. It says this: an inconvenient truth was published this week. Electric vehicle adoption globally is likely doing more harm than good when it comes to CO2 emissions, according to research from University of Auckland and a university in China. The study used data from 26 countries over 15 years and found that higher electric vehicle uptake was linked to increased global emissions. Despite the narrative often proclaimed from a moral mound by proponents and proprietors, EVs have never been the answer to our climate change crisis. And of course, it talks about the increased energy needed during the EV manufacturing design and also the battery production. You would not have seen this article published if it wasn't for bad man Elon Musk. But electric vehicles now are public enemy number one, because Elon Musk is public enemy number one. Classic from the New Zealand Herald. The school strike, there's going to be a strike on Parliament grounds today. You'll see lots of media coverage because the media love this particular cause. It's the school strike for climate, and kids are taking off the last day of term. Rather than waiting to the first day of their holidays tomorrow, they're going to march today because that's more convenient. And they're protesting the fast track approvals bill. If I was in Wellington, I'd pop down with a camera and just ask some of the protesters what's in the fast track approvals bill and what they actually object to, which is always a fun thing to do. A story that you won't hear about, let me just go to this one. Fascinating story in the Australian yesterday. And I haven't seen the New Zealand media report it, and you'll quickly understand why. And it's because the Australian Family Court has basically had a go at the treatment of gender distressed children. And in this particular case, the judge found that one of Australia's leading child gender medicine experts, so someone who pushes kids through transitioning and puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, misled the court, and that the academics were being influenced by ideology in assessing the child. The judge criticised the approach of gender clinics, saying the decision to affirm unreservedly any child that raises concerns over their gender is oddly binary. The judge relied on the Cass review, the UK's Cass review, which raised serious concerns about the lack of evidence for the benefits of puberty blockers, and also called into question the standards of care and treatment guidelines developed by the Melbourne Royal Children's Hospital, and the judge prevented the 12-year-old from accessing puberty blockers. In other words, sought to protect the child. It's a great decision, but as I say, you won't see it in the New Zealand media, but it has really rocked things in Australia, and we need to watch that debate closely. The Greens are showing a classic amount of hypocrisy. They were very upset at these billboards that went up. They were fun billboards that said, defund the police, vote Greens. And of course that was based on Green MP Tamitha Paul's explicit statements that she thought that the police should be defunded. She sort of, beats around the bush and says, in certain areas, but there's this general defunding the police. But the absolute irony of all of this is that another Green MP, Kahurangi Carter, has sponsored a members' bill that would ease copyright restrictions for parody and satire. So you could actually do one of these billboards. They're arguing that people shouldn't be sued for using certain images when they're just having fun and doing parody and satire. A bit like this billboard. So you've got one Green MP saying we should have more of these billboards and you shouldn't get in trouble for them. And then you've got other Greens crying foul because they don't like the message of the billboard. It's actually quite amusing. Obviously, the big thing that happened yesterday was that the Treaty Principles Bill was voted down in its second reading. Where to from here? I'm keen to discuss this on Straight Talk on Monday night on our 75th episode. But here's the thing. The media will tell you that 90% oppose the bill. Of course, that's a complete lie. 90% of the submissions may have opposed the bill. But just to put it in perspective, 90% of submissions opposed the abortion bill as well, Jacinda's abortion bill. Did you hear the media saying, 90% opposed the bill, we shouldn't pass this radical abortion bill? Of course not. And so then you've got to dig deeper and say, okay, where are Kiwis really at on this whole treaty's principle? And you'll see there, one said that 46% support it, 25% oppose, and 29% were unsure. Here's another one from One News. This was in December when all the heater was around it and the hikoi. 23 support it, 36 opposed, but 39% weren't quite sure. And then they said, well, how should we solve it? In fact, the most popular option there was referendum. So this issue isn't going to go away. And when you hear the media say that the treaty's principle bill was opposed, don't believe them. It's complete misrepresentation. Just finally, just an update on Snow White. It has tanked. Another movie came out, Minecraft, which my son went to. Apparently it got 300 million worldwide in the first weekend. 300 million for Minecraft. Kind of a leave your brain at the door type movie, Minecraft with Jack Black. So 300 million. Snow White got 87 million. So what's that? That's about a quarter or a third. And the problem is that Snow White cost 270 million to make. So Disney is going to make a huge loss. And I did see a great little analysis that said Disney's new Snow White replaces the theme of redemption with a modern mantra of self-empowerment. Instead of longing for rescue or celebrating love that revives, the updated storyline focuses on waiting for a wish and believing in oneself. While this may appear to be cultural progress, it actually indicates something far more troubling, a growing discomfort with the notion that we need to be saved at all. And it says, these aren't just creative changes, they reflect a shift in worldview. The original version of Snow White wasn't merely charming, it followed a redemptive pattern. Embedded in the greatest stories ever told, one of fall, rescue, and restoration. When that story disappears, we don't just lose a fairy tale, we lose something eternal. So, yeah, that has been a big loss. Oh, and one other thing, the White House press secretary, a few people have sent this to me. The White House's press secretary says she will not engage with reporters who list their pronouns in their email signatures. She said, any reporter who chooses to put their preferred pronouns in their bio clearly does not care about biological reality or truth and therefore cannot be trusted to write an honest story. There we are. There's a good yardstick for any report you see in the media. Just finally had the privilege of interviewing this guy, Dr. Vodi Bokum, who is a fantastic preacher, has written some fantastic books, recorded an episode of Family Matters, and will release that. Talks about critical theory, intersectionality, oppressed versus oppressors. We also talked about LGBT, woke churches, progressivism. I tell you what, it was a fascinating discussion, and we will release that. Anyway, I'm out of time. Look at that. First one back after 2 weeks on holiday. And actually wasn't too bad, was it? Anyway, hopefully the eye repairs, and we will see you on Monday at 7:30. Until then, have a great weekend.